So I think treating anybody that's struggling with any disease with compassion and try to understand where they're at and help them that way, and
That's the
not
best.
non-judging, and it's hard not to judge. I'll just say my sister, she was a smart girl, successful in her career. She didn't wake up and say, hey, I want to be a heroin addict. I'm proud of my sister. I'm not shameful of her and her addiction. She was a great person. She's a fantastic mom. And doesn't change her. And so just keeping that in our community and not judging people who are struggling. And a lot of people say, well, you're just only helping 6 women, but you're not. You're helping those 6 women, their children, their moms, their dads. Like, how many moms tell us I can go to sleep at night and not worry about my daughter?
Yeah. Welcome back to Might Get Loud. I'm Brittany Racine, and today we are not just talking about a trending topic. We are talking about a movement, and this is one that I hope you hear loud and clear. Today, I'm sitting down with Courtney, founder of Amber Reineck House, to talk about her sister Amber's story, how grief turned into purpose, and how recovery isn't just about getting sober. This episode isn't about shame. It's not about guilt. It's about education, empathy, and the power of community when we decide to work together to fight this disease instead of trying to hide from it. Addiction is not a moral failure. It's not weakness. It's not bad parenting. It's a disease. I've known Courtney for a few years, and I have seen her build up this nonprofit organization to what it is today. And it's so inspiring to hear from her perspective where it started and where it's at now. I'm so grateful for Courtney being so vulnerable and honest and just straightforward with how substance abuse has affected her family. But one of my favorite things about this episode is how Courtney explains that she's not ashamed of her sister, and this is not something that we as family members, friends, or even people who are struggling ourselves should be ashamed of. This is a heavy topic. There is heartbreak, but there is a lot of little winks from heaven in this that I hope are a contagious wave through everybody that hears this. Even before we get into this, I just want to thank Courtney for being such a powerful influence in this community. And with that, here's Courtney with the Amber Reineck House. I'm here with Courtney today, the founder of Amber Reineck House. And thank you so much for sitting down with me today to talk about your organization, your story, and really educate all of us on the dynamic of substance abuse and what we can do to really support others that we love and that are within our community.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to share Amber's story and a little bit about the nonprofit.
So I guess the first place we should start with is just sharing your story. I know it's deeply tied into how you got involved in this, but give us a little bit of insight on where this started for you.
Yeah. So, Amber was my sister. We are 2 years apart, and Christmas Eve 2015 is when she passed away. And that kind of started Amber's story, Amber's legacy. Prior to her passing away, I knew something wasn't right with her, but I had no idea she was addicted to opiates and the depth of her addiction. So once she passed away, I kind of then started getting involved and learning about substance use disorder. And I really just started reading every book, going to every seminar, listening to every podcast, everything that I could to learn about her disease, because I didn't understand at all what she was going through until she passed away.
So did you think like she was just, I guess, making bad decisions? Were you living with her at the time?
No, she was working out of state in construction, so I didn't see her all the time. When I did see her, she was sleeping a lot. Things weren't adding up. She had a great job, but was broke all the time, never had money. I just knew something wasn't right, but I never thought it was an addiction of, opiates, heroin.
Did you know she was doing heroin?
No, actually, I didn't. I looked on her arm. She didn't have the track marks, and that's not the only way you can do heroin. But I only knew at that time what were in the movies. So
right, when you don't know, you literally don't know.
I didn't know. So it was never heroin. And, she'd nod out at the table, but her nose was red. So I'm like, okay, it's not cocaine because she's nodding out. It's, not heroin because there's no track marks. I had no idea opiates, prescription pills could cause a lot of her symptoms and addiction.
Right.
When I say symptoms, addiction, I didn't realize opiate pills were so addictive and that's what started her addiction.
Okay, so was it like pain pills or something?
Yes. So she, like I said, worked for a construction company and got injured on the job. She was prescribed opiates, and then that led to an addiction. And eventually she went to the street drugs.
Ugh.
So, yeah,
I feel like that's honestly the easiest route for so many people. Like, it sounds like that's a super common roadmap for a lot of people who get in that situation.
it is. It's very common. We came a long way with prescriptions and doctors, but opiates were so overprescribed and so
Mhm,
easy to get. And if you have the addictive gene, you don't some people seek the opiates to get high and for drugs, and other people were prescribed by doctors for legit injuries,
mhm.
and then they got addicted. So it wasn't that she was seeking the drugs. She was legit
Like,
injured,
physically, yeah.
physically injured, and started taking the opiates. And in her journal that I got to read after she passed away, in her own words, it numbed her physical and emotional pain, and
Mhm.
she became addicted to them.
Right.
And so
Wait, I love that she had a journal.
yeah, I mean, she would journal periodically. It wasn't daily,
Mhm.
but she would put a lot of things in there. And so, we got to read bits and pieces of kind of what she was going through and her struggles.
So she ended up being addicted to heroin.
Yeah.
How long was her drug use for?
Very short. And I guess I fully don't know if she was addicted to heroin. I mean, we just say as a family she was. Her cause of death was two Tylenol mixed with fentanyl. And the
Oh,
time she died, fentanyl was kind of new. So we didn't even know what fentanyl was. We had to
right,
Google it. We got the autopsy. We were like, what is fentanyl? Now that's a common word. But
right.
back then, 10 years ago, it wasn't so common.
Mhm.
And so
Tylenol and fentanyl?
yeah, that's heard what was in her autopsy. She had just got out of rehab. She was only home, I think, 2 days when she passed away. So we don't know as a family or medically if she either took a pill that
Mhm.
was Tylenol mixed with fentanyl, or let's just say worst case scenario, she thought she was getting heroin and it was
Was
Tylenol
caught with
mixed with
something
fentanyl.
else.
Yeah, we don't really know, but we're just saying yes, she did heroin.
Mhm.
So because she was addicted to opiates, she was involved with some street stuff, and
So after she passed away, which is so horrific, and I can't even imagine, like, having a sibling that you're like, "I wish I could have done something." Like, there's probably so many different things that you go through in your mind that's like, absolutely not your fault, but so human. It's, like,
yeah.
such a human routine to go through, you know? When were you like, "Okay, I wanna do something with this. I need to educate myself. I wanna understand it. Like, there's people out there that need help." Is that kinda how the whole foundation started?
No, I mean, yes and no. So, like you said, when you lose somebody, it's like, I wish I could have did something. So I
Mhm.
always call suicide and overdoses the woulda, coulda, shoulda death.
Mhm.
Like, I wish I would have done that. I could have done that and I should have done that. And so as a sister, I had to really go back and like not blame myself because
Right.
I could have done a lot of things, right? I could have helped her get into treatment. I could have helped her do this. I could have done that. I should have did that, but I didn't. And so I had a lot of guilt that I had to deal with. And so just for my own self, I started educating myself, like I said. And I got involved with a nonprofit in Ann Arbor called Home a New Vision,
Mhm.
great nonprofit, and I just started showing up to their events, and
Mhm.
just I wanted to get educated because I didn't understand. And I remember going to one of their events and listening to a sheriff of the Washtenaw County speak and talking about her daughter who was struggling, and it
Mhm.
kind of made me not feel so alone because then you sit and say, how did this happen to my family, right? Both my grandfathers were ministers, my brothers are doctors. I come from a phenomenal family, so it's like, how is one of us addicted to heroin and now passed away?
Right, and none of us could stop it.
Yeah, and none of us could stop it or see it, right? We
Right,
had blinders on, and after she passed away, then we're like, "Okay, I see the signs, I seen the signs." But when you're in it, we didn't see fully the signs. We made
right.
excuses for her behavior
Mhm.
and just not acknowledging that it was right in front of our face.
And it's
And
always hard too because you don't even know the right way to go about it. Because 'cause you're like, even if I try to force you, sometimes that's the worst thing I could do.
yeah, no, somebody has to want help, which I learned now. You can't
Right.
make anybody do anything, right?
Mhm.
Otherwise, we'd have no issues in the world
Right.
if we could solve that problem. So back to your initial question, so I got involved with Home and New Vision, and joined their board of directors. And in the beginning, I knew none of the language. I didn't know what they were even talking about
Mhm.
at the board meetings. I just was there and present. But then I started to realize them being in Washtenaw County, they were servicing people from Jackson County, Lenawee County, and Livingston County. And I'm sitting here in a Washtenaw County nonprofit going, why is
Doing
Washtenaw County getting, all these counties' problems to solve?
right.
And it's because we didn't have the resources in the different counties available. And so as I sat on the board, one of the issues in Livingston County that I was seeing is there wasn't a home for women. And
Mhm.
so after men or women go to a treatment, the next step is sober living. And we were missing that in Livingston County. Like you, I have my real estate license. It's in holding, so I don't use it, but I've always bought and sold my own houses and did rentals. So I thought, well, this is going to be simple. I'll just buy a house and solve the problem.
Yeah.
It'll be easy. And I wanted Home and New Vision to run the house and manage the house, which they still do. But Glennis, the founder, was like, I would really love for you to start your own nonprofit and
Mhm.
have your own legacy for your sister. And I didn't want to at first. I'm like, no, I'll just do it under Home and New Vision. It'll
Yeah.
be
Like, I'll just
easier.
piggyback off that. We'll have,
Yeah.
like it's already kind of built up. It's not starting from scratch. Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
sounds like a less daunting task.
Right, and I didn't really want to open a nonprofit, but, she pushed me, and I'm glad she did. Without Glennis, the founder of Home and New Vision, there wouldn't be an Amber Reineck House, so I'm glad she's my mentor, she's supported me, and so I got a group together and I'm like, hey, let's form this board of directors.
Mhm.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but we'll figure it out.
Mhm.
And so that's just kind of how the Amber Reineck House started. And that was 8 years ago. So it took me almost
Okay.
2 years after she passed away to start the nonprofit. We didn't realize it would grow into what it was. We were very naive and we
Mhm.
just thought, oh, we're just going to open a little simple home and it's just going to be
So
easy.
it was supposed to be just a sober living house?
Yeah.
So is that where other people who just got out of rehab are? Are there, like, nurses there too?
So
Or
no,
just roommates?
it's just roommates. They're kind of accountable for each other, but there is a house manager, and obviously Home New Vision runs the programming. So there's clinicians and doctors, and they run the whole program. But in the actual house, it's just the women that live in the house. And
Okay.
so the nonprofit does a lot of things, but that's our main thing is the Amber Reineck actual house.
Okay. So a
And
house for people to just being safe on their recovery.
yes. So it's either women that are getting out of treatment, women that are getting out of jail, or women that just need a safe, sober place to live
Mhm.
in their sobriety. Some have not went to treatment or jail. They're just trying to stay sober. But traditionally, most women come to us out of treatment.
Okay. But then they have, like, random medical staff if they need.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they have programming. So Home Division runs all their programming. So they have programming, they have accountability, they have random drug tests. They help them with their court system, they help them with their finances, they help them get their children back.
How long are they in there usually?
So that depends. I mean, we had one woman that was there almost 3 years.
Okay.
Some people stay 1 hour because they're not ready.
Mhm.
But average is about 2 years. So
Okay, so
yeah,
a long time.
yeah, about 2 years is
That's
average.
amazing though. I actually interviewed someone in the first season.
Yeah.
She was a foster parent and she was like, a lot of these people, it's not that they are bad parents, they just need resources. Do you
Yes.
know what I mean? And she's like, they lose their kids because they just need help.
Right.
Like they either don't have stable housing or they can't get a job. That's, you know what I mean? And it's like, she's like, a lot of these people just need help and someone to help them get on their feet.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same with our women, right? So a lot of them have lost their children for different reasons, usually because of their drugs. And so they are able to have classes to get their children back and they need help, right? They need to learn how to be sober and how to live day to day sober
Mhm.
when your life is revolved
Can,
around addiction.
yeah.
So just learning how to wake up, make breakfast,
Mhm.
get ready for work, you and I take that as just a simple task. But when
Right.
you've lived a life of addiction, you have to learn to like, okay, we're getting up and we're having breakfast, we're going to work, we're coming home having dinner, we're going to
Mhm.
go to a meeting, we're going to do our chores, do our laundry, learning life skills over again.
Right.
Taking
Oh,
out the
no.
garbage on Tuesday, like things that you and I are think are common sense, it is, but when you're new in recovery, it's learning all that again
Right,
and being
or maybe for
accountable.
the first time.
Right,
Like, so many
exactly.
people could have been in a life of addiction for so long that they literally have no idea.
Exactly. Or generational. Like a
Mhm.
lot of their families were in addiction, they grew up in addiction, so just learning new
New
behaviors.
ways of life.
Yep.
Yeah, how many people live there?
So we can have 6 women at a time.
Is it usually pretty full?
It is, yeah, we fluctuate between like, the average is, like, 4 to 6. The people who at Home New Vision make sure that that woman is a good fit to join the other women,
Mhm.
so
So they
it's
can support each other.
yeah, and it is great, like, watching, I'm friends with a lot of the girls on Facebook, and they've built such a good community together. They go to church together, they hang
Uh-huh.
out together, they help each other, they really, like, mother each other,
Mhm.
and watching their relationships, and even when they leave the house, they're doing stuff together. It's really cool to watch the sisterhood,
Yeah,
you call like, I would call it sisterhood that they develop.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced early on in starting the nonprofit?
So there's a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
Obviously, one is money, right? You
Right.
want to have a house, and it's like, okay, now we need the money. And then just having people believe in us and the support. So we had this great idea, but having other people believe in our idea and believe in us, that I think was the initial first challenge. And I remember driving down Grand River, and I just pulled into Crystal Gardens, and I signed a contract for our first gala, and I signed it for like, I think my minimum was 125 people.
Mhm.
And so I left there and I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get 125 people to come to this event? Because I'm passionate about recovery, and obviously it's personal, but do I know 125 people who are
Mhm.
passionate about it? Luckily, I have a great group of friends and relatives and network. And so I just started calling everybody, and I'm like, please come to this event and, believe in me. And I think because people cared for me and loved me and my sister, they came, but I actually ended up, not just me, the whole board of directors and everyone ended up selling out. 350, I think, was
Oh
our
my
first
gosh.
gala, or maybe 300, but anyways, 300 to 350. So I was like so shocked that we had the buy-in of just
Mhm.
people believing in us. And then raising the money. And then the first one was like, okay, the first gala is we're going to have a house. And then we had the second gala, still no house. Then we're like, we still want a house, and here's still our dream. So I felt like we kept saying, I have a dream speech. And then we got a house, but then we were kind of stopped, by the city and had some issues there. So still trying to keep the momentum going with our supporters to believe in us. Cause
Mhm.
there were some times where, not that we didn't believe in ourselves, but sometimes you kind of doubt yourself, like, can we do this? Are we going to be able to
Right. Is
have a
this just an
house?
idea?
Yeah, and so just keeping our momentum as a board, we have a really great board, and we've had obviously a turnover in different people over the years because it's been 8 years, but every single member that has been on our board of directors has been so passionate, dedicated, loyal,
Mhm.
and just really helping us all stay together and keep that dream going. Because when you get the door shut in your face different times, it's hard to keep that momentum going. And keep having the gala, keep asking, for more support, which means money too,
Mhm.
and not having this home. So then finally, after, some hiccups when the home opened, it was just so amazing, to have that.
Like we did it finally.
Yeah.
When did it finally open? Like when from the day that it started, from the day you started trying to do it
Yeah.
to the day it opened?
It opened right before COVID, which then that was, I wish I knew, like, I would say like right the end of 19, beginning
Okay.
of 2020, our house officially opened. But then COVID happened, and women at that point were not seeking recovery, although they wanted it because they had no one to watch their children, and
Mhm.
they sometimes had to take care of their parents. So we had this house, but it was a struggle because usually, and I'm not trying to be sexist or anything like that, but men can just get up and go to recovery, right?
Right.
They just tend to leave the kids and the woman behind, and I'm going to get recovery. Women don't have that
Right.
option sometimes. They have to find someone for their children, someone to take care of them. It's harder for women to
Drop everything and go.
drop everything and go, right? And so when COVID happened, we had this house, but maybe one girl there, two
Mhm.
girls there, and it was really slow. And then, we started to doubt ourselves, like, is this really a need? But right after, some of the COVID stuff ended, our house just started filling up like crazy. And then that was like validation that, yes, this is such
Right.
a need in our community.
The timing was hard, but
It was very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, we got the house and now we can't fill the house.
Yeah, right, and then there's so many regulations too, I'm sure.
There is, and again, that's why we partnered with Home and New Vision. They actually run our house. We're kind of, I mean, we are very involved, but I call us like almost a glorified landlord.
Okay.
So we do all the extra stuff with the women, and Home and New Vision does all the clinical stuff
Oh,
with the
good.
women. So we do extra, like people will see on social media, like we take the girls to a Christmas play, which is very important to like my heart because obviously, Amber died on Christmas Eve, and there's a lot of depression. Suicide rates are higher, overdoses are higher. Um, all the depression is higher November,
Mm.
December. So we take the women to this beautiful like night out at the Fox Theater
Aw.
and take them dinner, and it just puts them in the Christmas spirit. And some of the women will share it's been 20 years since they've had a Christmas and been able or they've never been able to do something like this. And we have Santa come, and he was a fellow board member of ours, and he plays Santa and brings
Mhm.
the women presents. And he even says, like, they're more excited than some of the children
Right.
because, they've never had Christmas or maybe, you
Or
know,
only have horrible memories of Christmas.
exactly. And we make sure they have Thanksgiving dinners and Easter, and we do like little fun things. Like this year we're trying to just do like a little fun thing a month with them. Like February, I'm going to do a vision board party for the change of the, snake into the horse new
Oh, yeah, yeah.
year. And then in maybe March we'll take them bowling. So we just want to build like a more recovery community with them and just showing them that you can have fun sober,
Mhm.
because a lot of their outings were related to alcohol and drugs. Like
Right.
anything they did, it was time to use and drink. So
Mhm.
we do stuff like that. And if you've seen the house, it's gorgeous. They have everything they need there. The community has been amazing with their donations, and it's a beautiful, beautiful home. It's one of the nicer recovery homes I've personally have been in, and that is huge to us. So
Mhm.
it's on top of like all the extra nice things we do to show them we love them. The house is beautiful. It's safe. The women,
Comfortable.
yeah, the women will go in there, and some of them will FaceTime their mom and be like, "Look at this mansion."
Yeah.
It's not a mansion, but they're like, "Look at this mansion. It's so beautiful," and they're
Right.
crying
Oh,
and
I love that.
yeah. So it's a
It's
beautiful
a
home.
resort.
Yeah, this
Like that. It's not as, like, overwhelming where you're like, "Now I have to be certified in, like, so many different things," like because you have the backing of that other organization.
Yes, and Home New Vision's been around for 30 years. It's them and Dawn Farms, which is another
Yep.
familiar, treatment center in Washtenaw County, so they know exactly what they're doing, and we couldn't have a better partner, to run the home.
Yeah, that sounds like the perfect collab
It is. It
for that,
it
yeah.
really is.
That's amazing. So I guess just getting into, like, some curious questions with addiction. How do you offer support without enabling?
Ooh, so that's a hard question, right? It's a fine line, and there is no right or wrong answer to that, right? It's
Mhm.
individual. So a lot of people say, am I supporting or am I enabling? So there is no cookie cutter for
Right
addiction,
answer.
and there is no cookie cutter for recovery.
Mhm.
Some people will go to treatment 30 times, some people can go one time. Some people, have struggled for years, some people struggled for 1 year. I'll just do my personal,
Mhm.
right? With Amber, I did cold, hard love on her. I wouldn't even call it love, judgment on her. And if I were to do it different with my sister, I would not do everything for her. I would share the resources with her, but the main thing is I would tell her I love her every day and
Mhm.
that I'm here for her, and that I'm here to support her when she's ready.
Mhm.
You can't make someone do anything, right? You can only support them and love them into their way of recovery. You
Yeah.
can show them the resources. You can show them, hey, here's, community mental health number, here's Home and Vision's number, but you can't make the phone call for them. And even if you do call one of those treatment centers, they're going to want to talk to the person you
Mhm.
love to make sure they're ready, because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't meet it to drink,
Right.
right? And so that's the same with someone who's struggling. But like with my sister, I would have met her where she was at, not where
Mhm.
I wanted her to be.
I think that's hard too, because I think going into it, you're like, "Okay, I'm either gonna make you or I'm just not gonna do anything."
Right. And it is kind of either or. And that's how I was with my sister. I was like, you're an idiot. You quit. What are you doing?
Mhm.
You're, like, ruining your life.
Like, you were
You're
trying to not
stupid." Yeah.
enable at all, like, you were the opposite of enabling,
Yeah,
but you were like
I did, like, cold hard love, and that didn't help her, and then I see other people who enable their person also to death, literally to death, because
yeah,
they do everything for them and give them no accountability on themselves. So, again, that's a hard question. I mean, I feel loving your person, letting them know you're there and you're not judging,
mhm,
and that this is a disease. A lot of people, including myself, it was like your choice, you're choosing this, you quit, and it's not that easy.
mhm,
It's not that easy to quit, and it's changing lifestyle, it's changing patterns, it's changing routines, but it's also getting to the root a
of
lot
what
of
caused
what's
it.
numbing you, right?
Mhm,
So even with my sister, she had a physical pain, but then she had some emotional pain and some depression, and those pills numbed all of that. So getting to the root of her physical pain and her emotional pain and why she was using the opiates to numb those pains.
mhm.
Because everybody that is using has some type of pain, physical, mental, emotional,
I
there's
mean, everybody
something.
has pain.
True,
Yeah,
true. And so getting to that root of the cause and also just support, like being there for them without enabling. And that's a hard line. Like my enabling is going to look different than your enabling, for
mhm,
your person versus my person. And so that's a lot of people will ask me, am I enabling by doing this? I'm like, I can't really answer that
right.
because
It's different for
it's for
everybody.
each person. It's very individualized on
Mhm.
that. And that's what makes this disease so hard. There is no like
Step
treatment
1, step 2,
plan.
step 3,
Yeah,
yeah.
if there was, it would work, for
Mhm,
everybody. But getting into a program I think is key. I know there's so many different pathways to recovery. So
mhm.
just finding one that works for you and trying them all. I
Yeah,
mean,
try them all until they work, right?
yeah,
What's, like, a sign that a lot of people ignore?
from someone using.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, there's quite a few, right? So, I mean, I've noticed with people that are using withdraw, changing of, temperament, attitude, giving up. Like you can feel like some people are giving up on life, stop talking to friends,
Mhm.
withdrawing from family,
Isolation, really.
isolation, maybe not working, different behaviors in eating, sleeping. I mean, there are signs like with my sister, the signs where she'd fall asleep at the table. That's not normal. And we'd
Mhm.
just be like, well, she works too hard. We'd make excuses for her behavior.
Right.
And just being like eyes open, when it's in front of your face, like you don't see it sometimes. I
Mhm.
don't know if that makes sense. I mean, you see it, but it's
It's
like you make an excuse for,
right, it's almost like someone that gains 100 pounds. If you're with them every single day, you don't really notice that they're getting fatter,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden after 100 pounds, you're like, "Whoa, what happened?"
yeah.
But
And
when
that's
you live with them, you don't really notice, like, every single pound.
right.
It's a gradual change or, like,
Yeah.
especially if you're with them all the time.
Stealing is obviously a sign, the withdrawal, stealing. I mean, mainly withdrawing from family and friends because you don't want to, and change of friends, right?
Mhm,
You hang out with people who are doing the same thing as you. Sleeping a lot is a big sign of opiates, right? If it's other drugs, it's maybe staying up all night.
mhm,
So there's a lot of signs it's opposite for what drug.
right.
So if you're, doing cocaine and meth, you're going to be wired and up all the
Yeah,
time. If you're going to be doing opiates and heroin, it's sleeping a lot and
mhm,
withdrawing. So they're different signs,
right,
per
per
drug. And
drug
same
of
with
choice.
alcohol. I mean, money changes on all of that. So
Mhm.
they start asking for money a lot and things aren't adding up financially. That's definitely a huge sign too.
What is something that families do that helps more than they realize?
I think loving them and letting them know that you love them. You don't have to agree with what they do, but you still love them and you don't judge them.
Mhm, and it has to be consistent.
Yeah, I mean, again, I guess I'm speaking personally.
Mhm.
I wish I would have told my sister I loved her more and more and been there for her, and I shut her out. Uh,
Right, because you were like, "I just wanna fix this."
yeah, well, I didn't know what was happening too, and I just again, I judged her. I thought it was a choice, not a disease,
Mhm.
and you wouldn't shut someone out that's going through any other disease. I don't wanna compare it to cancer because it's not. They're night and day, and I know people say, "Well, people didn't choose cancer and they chose this." Initially, right? And I can counter that. Some cancers are caused by bad health decisions, but
Mhm.
when someone gets diagnosed with cancer, you're not like, well, you shouldn't eat fast food for 40 years. No wonder why
Yeah.
you have this or diabetes, right? And maybe, yes, they initially chose to use this drug of choice or alcohol of choice, but then it turns into an addiction and a disease.
Mhm.
And so I think treating anybody that's struggling with any disease with compassion and try to understand where they're at
Mhm.
and help them that way, and
That's the
not
best approach.
non-judging, and it's hard not to judge. I've judged, you've judged, we've all judged people, and especially someone that's struggling with addiction, it's easier to judge them
I
and
think they
label
also
them.
assume you're always judging them.
Yeah, well, sometimes there's some paranoia in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't like themselves either. Nobody wakes up and says, "I wanna be." I'll just use my sister. She was a smart girl, successful in her
Mhm.
career. She didn't wake up and say, "Hey,
I
I
wanna be
wanna be a
that.
heroin addict, and this
Yeah,
is where my life's gonna be." So there's a ton of shame with the person that's using.
right.
And so they already are very aware and they feel like shit themselves. They
Mhm.
don't need to be told that they're
Right.
that they're excuse my language, but a
No, it's
piece of
fine.
shit.
Yeah.
And so that's what some families do. It's like you this, you that. And again, I'm speaking personally. I was really, really horrible to my sister.
But you're like, you didn't know it was a disease either.
No, I judged her. And again, if I can't reiterate that enough, if I could share to any family member is not judging and understand what got them there and just love them, not enable them, but
Mhm.
love them. And I'm here with you if you need a ride or to go for step one for treatment. Like I'm here for you to
Yeah.
support you. Um,
Yeah, I think that, like, we get so angry because we're so out of control in that, that our first instinct sometimes is, like, I mean, yes, judgy, but it's, like, almost like, "Let me just do this for you." And it's like they are already feeling all that, conviction and shame and guilt and all these things. It's like you have to go into them so soft because they're already feeling those before you even speak. Like,
Absolutely.
even if you don't judge and yell at them, they're already feeling all that.
And
For
we
for themselves, obviously, they have such an obstructed vision of, like, their own self-worth too, so
yeah,
it's like whatever you say to them, they're gonna absorb negatively, so you have to tiptoe so lightly.
right. That I'm just speaking of my own situation, but they already have low self-esteem and
Mhm,
they have already beaten themselves up.
mhm,
Like
and, like, punish themselves enough.
100%. I can't do this. I'm a loser. Like they already tell themselves, and I'm talking about me and my sister personally. She already beat herself up, in her own brain. It's
Mhm,
not helpful when I'm telling her
"What you're
you're
doing is
terrible.
wrong."
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not helpful. And so just being supportive. And I mean, I guess that is my woulda, coulda, shoulda. I wish I woulda loved on her, not enabled her, but loved her and been like, "Hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. If you
mhm,
need help looking through the phone book for numbers or if you need help with resources, let me try to help you." And give them the numbers and make them make the own call and so they have skin in the game.
mhm.
But it's really hard to navigate all that.
Right, like, how much am I doing too much and how much is not enough?
Yeah, and it's hard, like, have helped people through the recovery journey, and it's hard to find treatment and to get placed somewhere, and you gotta wait because it is very overwhelming, the system, and
Yeah, I feel like it's hard too because it's like that day they could be like, "Okay, fine, I'm ready to go." And then they're like, "We have to wait 2 months." It's like, "Okay, well, I'm not 2 months go by, they've had 2 months to talk themselves
yeah,
out
I
of
mean,
it.
and there's not a bad like, when you're ready, you need to get someone into treatment ASAP because they're
They're gonna
ready
change
on
their mind
Monday,
in
they
20
might not
minutes.
be ready on Thursday when the
Yeah,
bed's ready, and that is a huge problem we have in the whole system is available beds for treatment,
mhm,
available beds even for sober living. So someone gets out of treatment and the safest place for someone to go out of treatment is and jail if they're dealing with substance use disorder is a sober living.
mhm,
And so if you have a gap and they call it a bed to bed transfer, if you don't have that bed to bed transfer, that's when you lose people,
mhm.
because
They fall through the cracks, literally.
yeah, they do, and that's what happened to my sister. She got out of treatment, she didn't go to sober living, and she used on Christmas Eve. She couldn't get home to see her kids. She was probably sad and depressed, and I mean, I'm just analyzing what was probably going through her brain, and just this one little pill or, whatever she took. Well, we know what she took. It was Tylenol mixed with fentanyl, but this one little pill will ease my pain for the moment, and that's what killed her. So in retro, if we could have did everything over as a family, and my mom and I have talked about this, and my mom's huge in the nonprofit too, would be to have had her go from treatment right to sober
Like,
living.
align that better.
Yeah, align it better.
Did
Uh,
she need to get out of the treatment place, like, right then?
so treatment's usually 30 days and it is what it is. I
They're
mean,
like,
there are some for 90 days, there are some for 6 months, and there are some for a year, but the standard is 30 days. And really that's not long enough. I
right,
mean,
I feel like 30 days is, like, not you're
no,
just starting.
you're just starting. You're detoxing, you're getting comfortable. And then by then, like, it's like time to go. And so
30 days, yeah, I feel like it takes at least a week, like, especially if you've been using hard.
yeah, no, 30 days is, it just detoxes you. That's why the next step is so important, sober living, and I compare it to, like, I'll go back to, like, I hate to compare, and I don't wanna get a lot of hate for comparing it to cancer, and it's not the same, but it's like getting your, tumors removed, and then you're just on
You
your
just go
own.
home.
You figure out the next steps.
Right,
That's not how it works. You need a whole plan.
right.
And so same with addiction. You need to go to treatment, and then you need, to go to sober living usually, for the most success. So sober living, you need to work a program, you need to get a sponsor. It's ongoing.
Mhm.
And actually, and people will say that they're in sobriety. It's every day. Like I have girlfriends who have been sober 10 years that are my dear friends that I've met through the recovery community. And every day to this day, they wake up and they say, "Today I'm going to be sober."
Yeah,
And they
it's
practice it daily.
never
Like it's
ending.
never ending. It's a disease. And they say that every day, for the rest of their life. They're still in the program. Some of them aren't as active,
Mhm,
because they have years of sobriety, but they are still very vested in their sobriety and their program, whatever their program looks like for them. So it's
mhm.
not you go to treatment, you're good. It's it's
Right, and
it's
it's
a
crazy,
lifelong
like,
thing.
30 days is gonna do anything
Yeah,
when
it
it's
just it
gonna
just gets you detoxed and sober, for the next step
mhm.
of your program. So
So looking, like, 3 to 5 years out, what are your plans for the future with the Amber Reineck House?
yeah, so
She's like, "Why you gotta ask me that one?"
yeah, that's a great question. We right now we're just focused. There was obviously a lot of cuts federally and stuff on different nonprofits. So we are just trying to stay very local. And we did have dreams to open several homes, and who knows, maybe one day. But right now we're really focused on the women in our house and keeping our community recovery friendly. So we're just really focused on the Amber Reineck House and the girls there, and we do a lot of sober events. We do the overdose awareness day. We used to do a lot of Narcan in the community, but now it's so available.
Mhm.
Thank God. And I have hopes that a men's home opens in Livingston County. I don't know if it'll necessarily be our organization, but that's very much needed. In Livingston County, we have two women's home, the Amber Reineck House, and there's also the Rail House. They're both amazing. So we're blessed in Livingston County that we have two places. But
It still seems like there's only 2
yeah, there's
in all
two.
of Livingston.
Yep, there's two. And so
I'm sure that's a hard thing to navigate too, though, because 'cause you're like, the more we get, we don't wanna water down, our support. So you're like,
yeah,
I don't wanna have too many where then we're in have our hands in too many baskets. We really wanna focus on people's success that are here.
yeah, and so that's like we're done really good at our house. We don't feel there's a need for us to open a second women's home. And again, I'm so grateful for Rail
Mhm.
because there's two. And again, that's another fantastic nonprofit, and they need support and love too. And we collaborate a lot. And then just, keeping education and the stigma out, right? And so like with our nonprofit, we have the shirts. I have one on, right now. This one says I stand for recovery.
Yes.
And I think we've sold almost like 5,000 shirts
Really?
maybe. Yeah, and
We're totally gonna put it in the show notes for
yeah.
all the people that wanna
Yeah,
support.
and so, and it's cool because the statements, there's different statements, and it kinda keeps the education, the stigma out. I'm proud of my sister. I'm not shameful of her and her
Mhm.
addiction. She was a great person. She's a fantastic mom, and doesn't change her. And
Right.
so just keeping that in our community and not judging people who are struggling. I mean, it's in our community, it's in our backyard. Statistically, 1 out of 4 households have substance use of some kind.
Mhm.
So it is in your neighborhood. If it's not in your family, your neighbors are struggling, and it's still in silence. I still have people message me all the time. Hey, I'm so and so in the community. Please don't share, but my son is struggling. Of course, I would never share, but
Right.
it's like there's nothing to be ashamed of. It doesn't
Mm-mm.
define you as a parent, it doesn't define the family, it doesn't define your son or daughter of who they were. And I think just really keeping that message going in our community is important. And I think the Amber Reineck House has done a really good job of breaking the stigma. I mean,
Yeah.
there's still a long way to go, but I feel our nonprofit really had a big part in breaking the stigma in Livingston County.
Like,
'Cause
it's not awkward to talk about. Everybody
yeah,
struggles.
yeah.
Everybody
And I
struggles.
think that's yeah, I mean, I've been very open, on my social media with Amber's journey, and I'm not like, again, I'm not ashamed of her. I'm actually very proud of her and sad that she struggled through that disease and her life ended, but it doesn't change who she was as a person. And I
Mhm.
wish more people felt that way. I know a lot of people do, but I wish more people felt that way about their loved one that's struggling,
Mhm.
that they weren't shameful. And I see some people I know that passed away that way and the family just really hides it. And
Mhm.
my hope is that people aren't ashamed. I guess it breaks my heart when I hear like, oh, they died in a car accident. And they didn't. They died of an
Oh, right.
overdose, and just not being ashamed of that. I mean,
Yeah.
even when my sister died, I had several people reach out to me and say, "You're not going to say, how she passed away, right? Your family, your grandfathers were ministers, your name." And it's like, I'm not ashamed of her. And I'm so glad that I
Right.
shared she died of an overdose. I would think how different my life would be and her legacy would be if I lied.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. So, anyways, that I guess I kind of went off
No,
topic,
I
but
love
that,
that you shared that because
yeah.
that does make a lot of sense. Because I think some people do they why would we feel ashamed of it? It's such a weird, like, underlying human instinct to be like, "Ooh, are we worried about that? Let's just not, like, let's, like, cover it with whatever," and it's like,
Well,
why would we do that? Like, these are someone
so
that we love and cared about that just, like, struggle with something, like, why are we ashamed of that?
And I think it's a shame of like, oh, maybe like I'm just speaking. I'm not a parent who lost a child, so I'm not, I'm just speaking like I think parents feel like what I do wrong or
Yeah, like,
was
"It's
it
my
me as
fault,"
a
or "It's our
parent
fault."
or and that's not true. I mean,
Mhm.
some of the parents that I know that have lost a loved one are some of the best, nice, sweetest parents and
Amazing parents,
people. They
yeah.
were there at every game. They did
You couldn't have been more
homework.
supportive.
Couldn't have been
Yeah.
better parents, and so it's not the parents, it's not the family. I mean, people even ask me like, "Did you guys eat dinner together?" "Yeah, we had dinner
What?
together." Like that doesn't like, no, I've gotten some random weird questions like, "Did you and your sister have dinner together as a family?" It's like, "Yeah, we ate dinner
We were
together.
a normal
Yeah, we
family,
went to church on
just like everybody else
Sunday."
that's struggling out there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so it doesn't define the family, it doesn't define the person, and I can't that's what I'm gonna keep trying to promote is the stigma,
Mhm.
the stigma of the
I think it
addiction.
is important to, like, look at it as chapters too, like, we all go through chapters in our lives where it's like, "Okay, that was this era of my life," or "This was this chapter," and it's like, addiction could have been one of your chapters, like, horribly and unfortunately, your sister's ended there, but a lot of people, I think, look at, like, "Oh, I can never just close that chapter." Like, you can still look back and be like, "That was my rough chapter."
Yeah, and I always say this is just again my own personal thought and quote, but it's like you're one trauma away from addiction, right? Like
Mhm.
right now, God forbid, I better knock on wood, I could get in a car accident and be prescribed opiates and be fine. But maybe, in another trauma part of my life, I'll just, I recently went through divorce. Maybe if I was in that same car accident in the middle of my divorce and like it being, traumatic for me, I could take those same opiates and it would trigger an addiction.
Right.
So you don't know when addiction is going to hit who, when, or what. So it's really hard to judge somebody when you could be in their shoes,
Yes.
personally or your family
Mhm.
or someone you love, your best friend, your neighbor.
I definitely am on board with you with the whole, like, break the stigma, like, stop being so awkward about it.
Yeah.
It's so huge, like, how are we awkward about it?
Yeah, and I love, I have my Hope Not Heroin shirts driving around Brighton and
Yeah.
people are looking at me, my shirt says heroin. I'm like, it's here. I
Yeah.
love wearing my shirts when I travel. I get so many conversations because I have, a Hope Not Heroin
Yeah.
shirt or I stand for recovery or stop the stigma, support recovery. And it starts conversation.
Yeah.
And no matter what city I go into, it's not just Livingston County,
It's
it's not
it's everywhere.
just Michigan, it's not California, just
Yeah.
everywhere I go, people share on how addictions in their town and in their, community and with their loved ones. So it's everywhere and it's everybody's affected.
Okay. One last question, and then we'll wrap up here.
Yeah.
If you could look back and give yourself one message before you started this whole journey, what would it be?
It's going to be a very long road, but stick with it.
Don't quit.
Don't quit. Beautiful things are coming. I know. Like, when you have a big dream, it seems so unattainable, I should say, not attainable, and just to keep going. There's so many times I did wanna quit and just say,
Mhm.
"This is, like, too
Just
much."
no doors are gonna
Just yeah, it's
close.
just too much for me, like, this is a lot, but I believe 100%, and I remember this on Amber's funeral, like, I knew it wasn't the end. I did not ever dream I would do a nonprofit in her legacy, but I just had this feeling her story was just starting.
Mhm.
And I had no idea what that meant. And I just remember at her funeral feeling like, this isn't the end.
This isn't over.
Yeah, just keep going with whatever your dream is. And I am religious and I believe that God used me and my sister combined to do things here on earth. And I believe she's helping in heaven with people that lost their life. I do believe that.
Mhm.
And I believe that I'm like down here helping people and recover in her name.
Oh, that's such a beautiful team.
Yeah.
I
And
love that.
her picture is in the house along with Lizzie Devlin, another girl that passed away young from Pinckney. And the women that go in there, they see those girls and they know that, both of those girls, not just my sister, but Lizzie too, gave their life, not willing, but gave their life so they can have life. And
Mhm.
so I really believe in my heart that my sister, things happened to her so she could save others.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I would just say, if I could tell Courtney in the beginning, like, just keep going. You were given this. It's not what I want. Obviously, I'd do anything to have my sister back
Mhm.
and have her here, but she was taken for a reason, and so I'm just living her legacy out, and I'm proud of her name, and people know her name in a good way now, and
That's
yeah,
amazing.
I'm proud of her legacy.
I love that you guys are working on this together.
Yeah,
Like, that was such a cool visual to me that, like,
yeah,
she's working up there and you're working down here and
and
you
I
guys have the same mission.
And I believe that, and along with that, like I shared, how our relationship wasn't good, and there was a lot of issues in our relationship. I believe in my heart that me and my sister have this beautiful relationship, and we rebuilt
Mhm.
all the stuff. Like, she forgives me for my behavior, and I forgive her for her behavior.
Mhm.
And post death, we now have this beautiful relationship, and we did it together as a team. It wasn't just me. And there's so many times where I want to give up, and I turn on the radio and her song was "Down in the
Oh my
Hole"
gosh.
by Alice in Chains, and I don't even know if that was her song. Actually, that was her song after she passed away. I just kept listening to it, and obviously, if you know his story,
And she
it's
knows it's yours, so she'll turn it on for you.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
like, even when I went to buy the first Amber Reineck house, I bought and sold so many different houses, and it's always like, did I get the deal? I left the house and I turned on the radio, and Alice in Chains is like from the 90s. They don't get played a lot
Yeah.
anymore. I turn on the radio, it's Down in the Hole, and I'm like, I got the house.
You're
I
like,
just
"That
knew
was
it.
it."
I
Yep.
just knew it. So she sends me signs. I so much believe in heaven. You can't deny it,
Oh, yeah.
personally when I see it all the time. And so she's with me all the time and helping me.
So what's coming up? What do you have coming up? What are the
So it's coming up. We kind of took a time off of fundraising because it's super exhausting, especially for a nonprofit that's all volunteer based.
Yeah.
But we do have our golf outing coming up in September,
Okay.
and we're super excited about that because we've skipped a couple gala years, and so we're excited about that for a couple of reasons. One, we need to raise a little bit more money to keep the foundation going, but I'm also a numbers person. It's not about the dollar amount, it's about the lives changed. But we are like $50,000 short of raising $1 million for the Amber Reineck House.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
It is so incredible. And the crazy thing about that, it's all from people and personal donations. We've had no grant money, no federal money. So every time you see, like, on social media, raffle tickets for the Amber Reineck House, they're $10 each, over the years. It all goes to the nonprofit. Our
Mhm.
gala money all goes to the nonprofit. Actually, everything all goes to the nonprofit. Again, we're 100% volunteer donation based. So nobody gets paid. There's no staff.
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty cool that we've raised $1 million, and $1 million has went back into our community for different recovery
Yeah.
events. Yeah. So, and we've been able to help Home New Vision too in Washtenaw County. We bought them a van, and that van also helps the women at our house. But we've done a couple other little things. But I'm just so proud of that. Like,
So we
who would
need
have thought
50,000 more.
50,000
We
more in
need
one.
50,000 more.
Yeah,
Yes.
right? $1 million. I'm just like, how'd that happen? This is my little baby accidental mom and pop
Yeah.
nonprofit, and now it's, turned into a legacy. So it's pretty
That's
exciting.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So that's our goal. I hope we do, but soon. And so, yeah, to support us, like, just come to our golf outing, or if you see, we're going to have our sponsorship to sponsor us, and just, listen to our stories. Like, I share some of the girls on social media, their stories, and that's what it's all about. It's about the women. And a lot of people say, well, you're just only helping 6 women, but you're not. You're helping those 6 women, their
Had families.
children, their moms,
Yeah.
their dads. Like, how many moms tell us I can go to sleep at night and not worry about my daughter?
Yeah.
Just that. And the whole community. A lot of the women, when they leave our house, whether they lived in Livingston County or came here to get sober, they stay, they volunteer, they're part of our community, they're working, and it's really great to see full circle,
Yeah.
what's happened to the girls. So
It's amazing.
yeah. So,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
yeah.
explaining all this to us and
Yeah,
educating us. And
thank you for having me. It
yes,
was
of
super
course.
fun. Yeah.
This conversation is one of those that's going to be very, very memorable for everybody who listened. Addiction survives in silence and it grows with stigma, but recovery grows in community. And this isn't about being perfect, but it's about being willing. Willing to have uncomfortable conversations, willing to stop labeling people, willing to replace shame with compassion, willing to say the word overdose, and willing to say this is a disease and we're going to fight it all together. Please, let's get Courtney to her $1 million goal. You can support the Amber Reineck House directly by donating or sponsoring in her upcoming golf outing. You can buy her shirts on the website. I'm going to put everything in the show notes for you. Please share this episode with friends, family. Really, this is one's for everybody, and you can talk about it at your dinner table. Please connect with me if you want me to get you in touch with Courtney, or you just want to give me your feedback on this episode. The purpose of this was obviously to educate you and to start breaking the stigma on recovery and addiction and what we can do as a community to support people and families who are being directly affected by this right now. But I'm so grateful that Courtney really has shifted the dynamic of this to be, instead of depressing and shameful and scary, into something that just has so much heart. And the relationship with her sister, I'm just obsessed with the fact that they have built this together, even though Courtney is the only one that is physically here with us. She is doing the work with her sister selflessly for all of these people. And I am sure that everybody is so grateful for her and what she has built. Stay tuned next week. We will have another interesting guest on a different topic. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week. Again, I'm Brittany Racine with Mike It Loud, and we'll see you next week.